will act. The real issue is if management will actually act on it. So let's say, for example, the culpable person is a sacred cow in the organization, or the rainmaker, or a preferred individual. What a lot of people are saying is that management won't act on it because it is one of their own, or it is their special child, that is the bully in the workplace, or it is the rainmaker that is the bully in the workplace. So organizations have to be committed to the fact that regardless of who the culpable person is, they will see it to final conclusion and make sure that if the policy says the person has to be sacked, then they must be sacked. Okay, so so those are the issues that we see these days. It has even gone beyond people not wanting to report. People will report, but they'll be like, or the reason why a lot of people don't want to report is they'll be like, even if I report, nothing is going to be done,
yes.
or instances where anything is even being done, it will just be like
something
a slap on the wrist.
more like a slap on the back,
something so little, yeah.
Okay, so how do we get, because you just said it, that we need management of these organizations to be more committed to this. How do we get them, like you're about to say, how do we get them involved in this, really committed beyond mere words? Some will tell you, yeah, we have structures, we have these in place, but how committed are they? That's the issue here. So how do we get them to be more committed to fighting this?
That decision will be their decision. The decision to be committed will be their own decision, because like you said, you can create all the awareness and all. Look at a lot of banks, they will tell you they have those structures in place, but look at their MPRs, their sessions where you see grown men fainting at MPR meetings. You see grown men having high blood pressure because if the next MPR they're going to blast me, that sort of thing. No, people spend a lot of their time in the workplace. It must be made a haven for them. Otherwise, you are just, you just have a lot of issues on your hands, walking corpses and all of that. So, but like I said, that commitment to make sure that the right thing is done is a personal decision by the management to make sure that it happens. HR cannot, what HR can do is create the awareness, educate people, and all of that, create the policies and all of that. But that commitment for management is everybody must be committed to it themselves.
Okay, so to our participants, our audience, you can actually be part of this. You can drop your comments, your questions, or contributions in the chat box. I think I see a comment or contribution in the chat box. Okay, I have learned so much. Thank you, Fumi. The new concept of bullying is quite insightful. Well, it's really enlightening for me too. Yes, she said that. So you can actually drop your comments, your questions, your contributions in the chat box too to be part of this. So it's not just about me and HR Madam alone on board. So finally, before we wrap up the session, we don't have any question. Do curricula? Okay, no. These things start from school. It starts from childhood. It starts from the early stage, not just when they get into work, when they get employed here. How do you suggest these habits, this culture and commitment to protecting the female mostly at the workplace is being inculcated into the curriculum, starting from the HR institutions in Nigeria?
Okay, I'm not sure I understand that question. You want
Yes, that it should be inculcated. It should be included in our curriculum, both at the university level, at the tertiary, secondary school, even in HR institutions as well.
Okay, gender-based violence awareness.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. That is a good suggestion, for that awareness to be created. I think that a lot is being done in the support for girl child in recent times. You agree with me that a lot of NGOs or even a lot of individuals are really focused on girl power, and girl child advocacy and all of that. I did something with Stand to End Rape recently. They are also in your space. They've even taken this gospel to the workplace as well, because they did a survey and they realized that a lot of people said that they had been sexually harassed at work and that they didn't get the right support, or they were afraid to even speak up because of the type of person involved in the harassment and all of that. Like you said, it is definitely a welcome idea for a lot of education, a lot of awareness to be created in that space. So in schools, in HR institutions, so that our HR people are adequately equipped, in the workplace. I'm sure there are resources on the CIPM website where you can access resources to see what you should do as HR and HR's involvement in cases like this. So yeah.
Okay. Well, there's a question in the chat box as well. This is from Jimmy. He or she said, how do parents play a role in building the female relevance towards knowing their worth, and how the corporate bodies overcome glass ceilings? Do I need to read that again? How the corporate bodies overcome glass ceiling? Well, I want to assume.
Okay, so how do corporate bodies overcome glass ceilings?
Yes.
I think that it is that conscious commitment, like we said. And at the beginning, I did say that you can see the evidence of that in recent times, given the number of women that are now bank MDs, or even chairmen or chairwomen of big organizations in Nigeria. So there is that commitment and that conscious effort to make sure that we make room for women. Another thing that we can do is, as women are getting into these spaces, I hope that they are also paying it forward and helping other women to attain these heights as well. But a lot of organizations are now very diversity and inclusion conscious. And that diversity and inclusion consciousness entails a whole lot of things, including gender balance, especially for certain roles, senior roles in the organization. Like I did say at the beginning, where we haven't really gained traction is in
the
politics. Yeah, in the political space. But even some work is being done in that space. Some NGOs and social enterprises are creating that awareness and giving women the right support.
We hope to have a session in that regard next year, early next year too.
Yeah.
All right, your final word. I hope Jimmy got the answer for his question, he or she. Well, Jimmy sounds like a masculine name anyway. So I hope you get the question for your question, the answer to your question. So, HR Madam, your final word before we close the session.
Okay, so my final word will be that let us all be kind. Let us all be kind to one another, because you see, if you're a kind person, it won't even be in your body or in your mind to be a bully to anybody else. And in my experience, what I see is that a lot of people say all these things that people are calling bullying is just people not wanting to take feedback. And like I had to say to somebody recently, nobody is saying that you should pamper people who are not pulling their weight at work. So you should give performance feedback. But what we're saying is, how do you give this feedback? Do you give this feedback in such a way that it dehumanizes people, or it's very demeaning to them? So the way you give this feedback is what we're trying to address here, so that people don't have to cope with toxic workplaces in addition to their very big workload at work. So my final word is, beyond even all the policies that an organization can put in place, beyond all the systems and processes and all of that, let us as individuals decide to be kind to one another.
All right, that's a powerful one. Let us all be kind to one another. That's the basics, really. If you're kind to one another, you don't want to bully someone else. You don't want to sexually harass another person, your co-worker. You want to put things and look out for the person as much as possible. And in case you're just joining us, well, let me do a recap of the session, but the recording will be on our Facebook page. That's at My Initiative for Human Development, for you to catch up and get the real gist. We've been talking to HR Madam, that is Olufunmilola Bucknor, founder and lead consultant, HR Madam Consulting. Thank you so much for coming on board once again. I really appreciate this. And she talked about some structures that are in place, what needs to be done about bullying, harassment at the workplace. And you know that as an employee, you can actually sue your employer. You can actually go to the courts, the industrial courts, and to seek redress for whatever it is. You can't be laid off anyhow. You can get justice. You can seek redress and get justice. All you need to do is make sure you document the incident and you have evidence, strong evidence. You might not even be the one to report. It might be a third party who is aware of what is going on. And you know, funny enough, tonight I actually got more insight into the different types and kind of harassment in the workplace. That is suggestive looks, excess workload, not supporting your co-worker to get resources for efficiency, for them to be efficient at work, is a form of bullying and violence as well. And then there are structures put in place to help the survivors get over the psychological, the emotional trauma that comes with sexual harassment. And irrespective of who the person is, the culprit is, you can actually seek redress, reports when you can, and speak up. And the final one she actually talked about, and she said, people spend a lot of time at the workplace. The least employers can do is make the place a safe haven, which is true. I totally agree. And then let us all be kind. I see a question pop up now before we close the session. Sorry. Okay. This is from Olubumi Adelugba. Well, what do you mean by structure in place? I guess you mean is the sexual harassment policy. They should be served as part of employment materials. Part of the orientation, have time out with staff during maybe the team retreat. Okay, I think that's a contribution.
Yeah.
They're talking about
Yeah, I mean,
sexual
yeah, the
harassment.
person is saying, the person was asking and answering, yeah, the question. But yeah, when you talk about structures, yeah, structures meaning that you put policies in place, you educate people. Like I said, in some instances, you do it mid-year, end of the year, beginning of the year, just to make sure that people are constantly aware of the fact that this constitutes negative workplace behavior and we do not condone it here as an employer. So yeah.
Okay, well, I guess that's the answer. So thank you. This is where we shall drop anchor on the session for today. Thank you so much, HR Madam, for coming on board. And to my big sister, and to forget, thank you for the link, at least for making this happen. Well, I'm grateful to have sisters to stand on their shoulders to help me in this. Thank you so much. We'll be having another session on the 8th, that's on Wednesday. We'll be talking about the misconception about women in leadership positions. So, you know, this whole thing, this session, this series is about women generally. We talk about different topics that has to do with women, from politics to their health, mental health, to the legal framework. We've actually had different sessions, so you can just catch up on our Facebook page to update yourself. So it's a good night from all of us at My Initiative. I want to appreciate my team, my technical team, for their contributions as well. We'll do this again some other time. And HR Madam, hopefully we'll bring you on board again to talk about another topic. We hope you'll be available then.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for
Oh,
inviting me.
thank you so much, and good night, and have a great week, everyone.
You too.
Bye.
You too. Bye.